Today I'm speaking to one of the most coveted Australian basketballers in recent times. He has played in America, Europe and Australia, as well as for the Australian national team known as the Boomers. He has won countless awards worldwide and is still going strong. Chris Anstey, thank you for spending the time to talk to me today.
You're welcome.
When did you first lay hands on a basketball?
I was late. I didn't start until I was 17 years old. I grew up playing tennis. So one of my best mates growing up was Dustin Fletcher, and we played tennis together for years. So we both probably got our hand-eye coordination and I guess athletic ability for our size through playing tennis. But he went off and played footy. I went off and played basketball.
At 15, you were ranked number 2 among Australia's under 15 tennis players. Why did you quit tennis for basketball? I
think I knew I wasn't going to get any better. Some of the kids I beat a lot over my junior years were starting to catch up and beat me as well. So I guess it was a realisation I was probably better suited to a sport where height is more of a benefit. And I thought there was a possibility that I could make a career out of it. So it was a hard decision because I really loved playing tennis, and for me it was the first time I'd ever played in a team sport, so I really enjoyed that aspect as well.
So did you go into basketball planning on becoming a basketballer?
No, I didn't. My younger brother played, and they were short on numbers one day down at Keilor Basketball Stadium, and they only had 4 players, so he talked me into filling in. And one thing I tell a lot of young kids is you never know who's watching no matter what you do. So I was down there and actually ended up having 52 points my first game. And there was a couple of talent scouts from the Nunawading Inspectors and the Melbourne Tigers there, and they gave me the opportunity to come down and train with their domestic teams.
When you were 19, you were drafted to the Melbourne Tigers, whose roster was full of stars headlined by Andrew Gaze. Did you follow the basketball as a kid, and how familiar were you with these players?
No, I didn't. I'd never watched a game of basketball. I had no interest in it. Didn't know who anyone was, but I had heard of Andrew Gaze. I think just as a sports fan, most people, he's probably the most famous basketball player of his time. So I'd heard of him, and in my mind when I signed, I was still a kid who'd grown up playing tennis, and I thought if I'm going to have one season playing professionally, it'd be pretty cool to play with Andrew Gaze. And the only deal I had with myself and my family was that I'd only continue to play basketball as long as I continued to improve, because I had to give up university to do it. And if I reached a stage where I thought it wasn't realistic that I could make a career out of it, I was going to go back to school. So the development happened pretty quickly, and I think I made the right decision.
What were you studying at uni?
Maths and computer science at La Trobe University. So it was something I was good at but didn't particularly enjoy. But basketball was definitely the preferred way to go.
Then you played for the Southeast Melbourne Magic from 1995 to 97. What was it like moving to the crosstown rival?
Yeah, it was great. The main reason I went was because Brian Gogoodman was coach, and because I hadn't played for many years, I was a long way behind a lot of the other kids my own age, skill level and work ethic. And Brian Gogoodman instills a work ethic into his players that's probably unparalleled with other professional coaches. So for me, the development that he provided was the main reason I went, and I owe him a lot. A lot of what I've achieved in my career has been due to the work ethic and the skill levels that he taught me and his coaching staff taught me. So it was fantastic. We won a championship. I really developed as a player over the 3 years, and it was because of him that I made it to the NBA. Full career.
From your experience in America and Europe, because you played in Russia for a couple of years, what are the main differences in the leagues compared with Australia, for example, the leagues and how they're run and maintained, the training that's required and the different lifestyles?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the way the games are refereed is so much better over there. They allow it to be a contest, they allow athleticism, and they allow good athletes to dominate games when they can, and they don't reward players who can't keep up. So I think the way the game's called here is a bit soft. It's still got to be entertainment. So that's the main thing. I think off the court, over there you've just got to get it done, and you rely on your own devices to do that. Whereas here, the whole team culture and that whole Australian personality, I think everyone loves playing with their mates. They love developing friendships with mates, and I think that is a really important part of the sport here, and it's a part that I really enjoy that doesn't really exist over there.
And what about like, the sort of lifestyle? Is the NBA is huge in America? Players wouldn't go out without getting recognised. Do you get that much here in Australia?
No, not really. I mean, if you're 7 foot, people sometimes, they put 2 and 2 together. But, lifestyle in Russia, for example, is just extremely boring. No one speaks English. It's minus 40 minus 40 degrees every day. And, you train twice a day. And in the NBA, you play so many games that, everyone talks about the lifestyle, but it's a pretty boring life when you're going through it because it's game after game after game and, aeroplanes, hotel rooms, and that's about it.
Room service.
Exactly. So there's not much more to it, but, as a sport and as a spectator sport, they do a fantastic job of it.
In the NBA, it's common that players get traded around a lot. Did getting traded from Dallas to Chicago, did that have an effect on your confidence?
Not really, because I'd spoken to Chicago before I got drafted and I knew that they wanted me. They would have drafted me later on, which would have been great to then play with those sort of guys. But, no, look, it was one of those things that happens and you don't take it personally. And, I would have liked to have stayed in Dallas. I love the place. I've got some really good friends there still. Matter of fact, one of them just arrived here in Melbourne today. So, I would have liked to have stayed, but it's part of what happens. And it's when they pay that much money, they can do whatever they want, I suppose.
When the Australian team gets together for a competition, how long does it take for the boys to gel together and sort of just work together?
It takes a while. I think with team sports, you need to be around each other a lot and spend a lot of time on the court together. And I think you're counting in weeks. It's definitely not days before you really reach where you want to be. And it's hard to get everyone together because you've got people come from America, Europe, here in Australia, and it's hard to do it. And that's one of the battles we face with our international team is that we do need to get them to spend a lot of time together, but it's just really difficult to do.
Is the level that they're all at, whether they play in America, Russia, or here in Australia, is their level of playing so different that it takes a while to just sort of get on the same page?
It's not the level of playing, it's more so the style of playing, I think, and just getting to know your teammates' strengths and weaknesses. That's part of a team. You need to know what your teammates are good at as well as yourself, because you don't want to ask your teammate to do something that they're not great at. So, look, it all takes time, but when it works, it's fantastic.
You've won plenty of awards in Australia and around the world, and as a boomer as well, in the national team. From what you can remember, are there 1 or 2 standout awards that are special to you?
I think any championship, and I think probably the 2 championships here with the Tigers were pretty special because I was captain of the team and felt like I had a really big, as big a role in winning those championships as any other that I've had. And I think when you're a professional sports person, if you put in the work, you're rewarded with moments in time along the way. And like I mentioned before, we beat the Chicago Bulls, and it was an amazing experience to beat that team, who's probably considered one of the most famous and successful sporting teams in history, no matter what sport. I was part of the first men's basketball team to win a gold medal. It was under 23s, but that was amazing to beat the United States in the quarterfinals and end up winning the thing. So, there are a lot along the way, and I've been fortunate that I've been pretty injury-free to allow me to play for as long as I have.
When you say captain, what role does the captain take in a basketball team? Because in AFL, the captain's like the main spokesman for the team, and they're seen all around the club. What does a basketball captain do?
Yeah, that's about it. And I think you are a spokesperson for the team, but everyone knows the deal, and everyone. I guess you probably have a bit more of a say and a bit more of an open line of communication with the coaches, and they'll take your opinion on board. And it's a captain's usually someone who has been around for a while, so they've seen a few things and can provide some insight into some things you might do. So I guess on top of that, you want to make sure that the young kids are doing all right and make sure that everything's under control both on and off the courts, because you need everyone happy. You need to make sure, we're only together maybe 4 or 5 hours a day, so the other 19 are pretty important as well, so you want to make sure that everyone's got them under control.
Without getting yourself into trouble, which you're not worried about, what would you change in order to increase the interest in the NBL?
The referees, the way the referees are taught to referee the game. They need the direction they're given needs to come from someone who's younger and has a much more, I guess, modern approach to the way the game's called. I think the way the referees are told to referee the game here from the people in charge, it's antiquated. It's 20 years behind its time, and we need to step up and model ourselves on what the NBA and Europe do.
Future plans beyond basketball? Is it something in maths and computers?
No. I'll hopefully be involved in professional sport in some way, and you would hope that it's basketball, but I'm really big on achieving the maximum potential out of a team, and I think a lot can be done in any sport and corporately, and I think if people work together and don't care who gets the credit, you can really achieve some good things. So not sure where that sort of role will pop up. I'll get into property development. I've already started that, and I'll take my time deciding what I want to do, because I think that I've got a lot of good ideas, but you never know what something's truly going to be like. It's almost like coming out of high school for me. You don't know what something's going to be like until you do it full time. And I don't know who's going to offer me a job until I actually retire. So I do look forward to that day, because it'll be a whole new challenge. But as for an exact answer, I'm not entirely sure yet.
Chris Anstey, thank you for talking to me today. It has been a pleasure talking to a true champion who leads his team and his country with the utmost professionalism and has done so for the best part of the last decade. So thank you very much for spending the time with me today.
It's my pleasure.